Today, I want to touch upon and discuss the topic that our world is literally a likeness of a computer simulation, and this is not a fairy tale or fantasy. It is actually true. But before I start this video broadcast, I will say, or rather, give a warning about this. There is a large amount of information about this on the internet right now, and as a rule, the information that is disinformation gets promoted. This is easy to notice. In other respects, such information, which lacks significant promotion, is either imprecise or incorrect due to the fact that the individual transmitting it has not delved deeper and more objectively into the matter, and, influenced by many ingrained false perceptions, is mistaken. For all those who are interested in this topic, before you begin to reflect on it, I urge you to first investigate the scientific data from physics. My personal primary recommendation would be to explore the physics of Richard Feynman, though many other physicists exist. Richard Phillips Feynman, born May 11th in the year 1918 in the borough of Queens in New York City. His main achievements are in the field of theoretical physics and quantum physics. He was one of the creators of quantum electrodynamics, a Nobel laureate in physics. He passed away in year 1988. I won't be discussing physics, because in this matter there is no need to know all the intricacies of physics, or to be obsessively involved in it. That kind of obsession can actually lead you away from a more or less accurate understanding, a phenomenon observed in many, including physicists, of Richard Feynman's magnitude. Regarding this question, a superficial yet objective understanding of physics and all its achievements, including science in general, is sufficient. Concurrently, one must examine all forms of philosophy, various religions, historical and political processes, and much more, free from bias and prejudice. The world we all seemingly inhabit and are destined to live is in truth a simulation and an illusion. It's also worth remembering Gnostic teachings here. Many of them claim that this world was created not by God, but by the devil, an imperfect creation of the true God. The Gnostics call him the Demiurge, who then made this world full of evil and injustice. But at first, this world was soulless, like artificial intelligence. So, for this world to be even somewhat like something alive, which isn't possible without a source of eternal breath, the Demiurge stole divine souls from the true God and trapped them in this world like in a prison. Is there any truth in this Gnostic concept? There's a partial truth, but the concept itself, understood in that way, is fundamentally a delusion. The Demiurge is a personified character, an image of humanity's collective intelligence and the power it wields in human civilization. However, concerning the guardian of Earth, as found in ancient Christian chronicles, this refers to an established natural system, intrinsically tied to the laws of physics. This topic, though, needs a much wider exploration, and that would take too much time, so I won't be getting into the concept of the Gnostics right now. How does the supposed computer simulation of our world work? Consider any computer game, and then, thinking objectively, compare that game to our own world. However, the fact that it's an illusion doesn't imply that pain in this world, for instance, isn't genuine, or that enjoyments aren't real, and so on and so forth. All of these things are entirely authentic. It would be precisely the same if by some means it were possible to place what is referred to as a soul into computer characters. Yet, observe, for example, in a complex surgical operation under anesthesia, where limb amputation, bodily incisions, and the like may occur, the patient perceives absolutely nothing. Nevertheless, the patient's body reacts quite profoundly to all such processes. To simply claim that this involves certain brain functions being disconnected from all sensory organs is not entirely accurate. Pay attention to the many processes of a computer game. Go into the games folder. Open the games directories, and there you will see many documents. When you open them, you'll find letters, dots, numbers, and all sorts of other things. And this is what the game is actually made of. However, the game itself lacks predetermined, immutable events. You might win one time you play it, and then lose the next time you play the very same game. In the game, only the game structure itself is fixed. For example, the durability of walls, houses, castles, ships, and all such things. The game has pre-programmed possible actions. In games similar to Civilization, you have the building of houses, cities, progress, wars, and scientific discoveries. But in the game's directory, all of this is already defined and present. And in a very literal sense, almost exactly the same applies to our world and the future. But what other element could be in the game? You can modify something in the game's directory, and at a certain stage your character can completely defy the rules of the established game. For example, pass through walls, in short, possess unlimited capabilities. What are the rules of the established game in our world? They are what we refer to as the laws of physics. Finally, I'd like to touch upon the meaning of life. Naturally, anything related to reincarnation, any religiously devised concept, scientific doctrines, and so much more is a trap. If we're discussing the true soul, its development and freedom, the genius of the soul, this isn't reincarnation. It's something completely different. Reincarnations, along with being held captive by various totalitarian concepts and the like, are nothing more than wandering through the labyrinth of a prisoner's jail. The question, of course, immediately comes to mind. Who benefits from this? Someone must find it advantageous, right? So, there's some power that feeds on all this and sustains its own existence through it? My view is this. Undoubtedly, there is some kind of otherworldly force. For some it manifests as reptilians, while for others it appears as arachnids or cockroach-like entities and all such things. But this force would possess no power if it hadn't been initially allowed in, and if the simulation had originally been utilized for conscious learning and observation. The probability of these circumstances led to the selection of this particular learning method. This, in turn, implies that through this approach, accurate understanding will eventually be attained, enabling individual consciousnesses and the entire universe to know themselves and embark on a new, perfected stage of development. Therefore, whoever claims that the world on Earth is inherently a prison, consciously created by someone, is mistaken because the world is inherently an instrument, a simulator, and the fact that the world has become a prison is the fault of humanity's imperfect consciousness, which itself allowed this to happen. And to conclude, I will ask a question that will simultaneously be the ultimate true answer. An axiom. What is the meaning of life? Obviously, the meaning of life is to ultimately find out what the meaning of life is.